At LMPD, we have a very strong partnership with the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, which is a part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And they come to us and do a lot of training, and they had created this new critical incident response training and wanted an assessment. And they knew that myself and Officer Horde were in a position to do that and ask us if we'd like to evaluate and assess this new training that they were doing. And the training involved, they already had an active shooter training, but this training was the 5 to 10 minutes post-threat mitigation. So we all train to the active shooter event, but then the chaos after, we often forget and don't train to. So they really wanted to focus their training on that. So they wanted us to see what the students pulled from that class and to make sure that it was of value to them. Yes, we're in a unique position. So we have a research and strategic advancement unit that is embedded in our training. So we are actually there to monitor and assess the training that we're putting out to the department. And that includes our basic training and our in-service training. And then we also operate with our performance review board where they are making recommendations for additional training. So being in that unique position allowed us to do this partnership and have the time to really dive into this project that they wanted us to work on. Yes, it's very valuable, I think, to have embedded practitioner-based researchers. And I know that obviously not every agency can have that opportunity, but even partnering with outside researchers. But the benefit to us is that we have the language component, right? We speak law enforcement. And there are a lot of things that when people come in and do research, they don't necessarily understand the components and how they work. So like, for example, in this class, it was very focused on incident command systems. Well, someone from the outside as a researcher, academic only, may not understand the components and have to do a bunch of digging into, well, what is incident command and what are the systems that are in place? And it is unique because we already know those systems. So as we're having those conversations and we're building out surveys and we're building out focus group questions, we already know what we're trying to pull from that and what valuable information we can retain from there. So the overall goal was obviously to assess and evaluate the training. So we got all of that feedback to FLETC, and that way they could make changes accordingly. So if we saw that areas of confidence didn't increase as much in certain areas, specific to the surveys that we did, they can adjust the class accordingly, maybe highlight that more in their class. So it was an informative to them. And then from the focus groups, we got a lot of information back about communication. So communication was a big factor. We don't do a lot of interagency training. It's difficult, it's complicated to bring all of these agencies and all of these personnel together. Not only is it time, but it's staffing. And it is a complex situation to try to arrange something like that. And then not only that is you have to find a location that somebody's willing to give up to a public safety group to come in and do a scenario like that. So there are a lot of complex areas of setting up training like that. So one of the things that everyone suggested in their debriefing was that they wanted more interagency training because they realized there were several communication issues. So when we get on scene, who is in charge and who is running the scene if you have multiple agencies there? Because they're trained that whoever shows up for them is going to be in charge. We also found that everyone's on a different radio channel. So it was difficult for us to be communicating interdepartmentally, or interagency. So we sent that information to them as something to work on as well. And then also the leadership component. So when you show up on scene, how to lead and manage. So there was still a lot of confusion. So I know that they are planning on expanding specific to first line supervision in response to those incidents because yes, obviously the chief, the assistant chief, they're all going to be involved, but who are going to be the first people on that scene responding that we need to really train to that? It is going to be first line supervisors. If there's a critical incident in the middle of the night, it's more than likely going to be patrol and their patrol sergeant. So we want to make sure that they get that training. So we gave that information to FLETC, and then also in our publication talked about that. And I think that can be applied generalizably across the country. So I think one of the most impactful things that came out of this research that would be valuable to other agencies is the fact that we took a pre-existing protocol that is already happening or should already be happening at an agency, and we pulled data from that specific thing. So you're getting them to not only give you valuable information, but you're doing it in a way, in a format that's already occurring. So it takes no additional staffing, it takes no additional time because that's already going on. So I think the impact that we can pull from this, or the information that we can pull from this, is to show agencies that it is possible to gain intelligence about your training very easily by getting creative and by looking at, okay, how can we get more information from this in a way that would be valuable to not only our department, but to make the community a safer place and a safer environment.